Your ceiling.
Oh, that's a nice ceiling.
Office or your house?
This at my house.
It looks like you're well funded, doctor.
Yeah, if there's video, I may go put a different shirt or jacket on, but if we're just audio.
That's fine.
I don't think you have to. We don't have to do video. Do you want to just turn your camera off? I mean, listen, this is just, two girls from Bridgeton, Missouri, stamping out disease and saving lives. But you know what? We're doing a lot of shit right here.
I love it. Let's just do it like this then.
Perfect, perfect. I love this. A physician in a Hanes t-shirt.
But that's what we do. We get our hands dirty and
Right.
wear regular clothes.
We're actually at my house right now because it's so chaotic at the office, but I think we've got a date for your team to come down. I'm super excited. They're going to absolutely love it.
And I was going to come, but my anesthesia partner, Ray Dickerson, is the one that's going to spearhead this. And I thought he should come.
Sure.
Melissa's my head nurse, and Dana, who used to work for me a long time ago and almost unforgivably left me, went to be an infusion nurse, and she's now back, and she's wonderful. So the three of them will come, and they're really looking forward to it. Thank you in advance.
Of course, I'm happy to help. Well, welcome to our podcast, Don't Back Down, where we just try to figure out how we get patients care. So today we have Dr. Keith Smith, who is the founder of the Surgery Center of Oklahoma, or is it Oklahoma? No, the Surgery Center of Oklahoma City. Okay, so tell us.
The first cash pay surgery center, which is crazy. It's insane to think about. Sorry, I was so excited to say that.
So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, the Surgery Center of Oklahoma opened in 1997.
Wow.
And it was downstream of the Disgust, another anesthesiologist, Steve Lantier, and I had with the extent to which patients were being exposed to bankrupting bills for really minor surgeries. So when we opened, our mission was to never accept money from the government and always make sure patients knew what they were going to pay us prior to arrival. There would be no surprises or baits and switch. So I started quoting prices, all-inclusive prices, over the phone the first week that we were open, with no concept of how radical that was. And it was just a matter of populating a sheet with all-inclusive prices for inguinal hernia, breast biopsy, tonsillectomy, laparoscopic cholecystectomy, you name it. And then we were pretty successful fending off all of the attacks that you can imagine we endured from hospitals, insurance companies, regulators, insurance commission, health department. But they finally stumbled on something that really hurt us in about 2006. And my response, it was a combination of factors that essentially made our filing of out-of-network claims impossible. So I launched the website in 2009 so that patients that had sticker shock could find us. And I launched it to start a price war so that the so-called not-for-profit hospital charging $30,000 for a tonsillectomy would have to explain how they weren't making a profit when I was charging $3,000. And then I also wanted to better understand the scams were at play that were making all this happen, that were preventing market discipline from ruling our industry. I launched the website in 2009, and the first patients to take advantage of that were Canadians, which was very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, and then people started coming in, self-pay patients from all over the country, people with high deductibles. Then the self-funded world found me. Then the cost-sharing ministries found me. And I've been trying to spread this gospel and help my colleagues either found new surgery centers or change the business model of ones over which they have control ever since. So it's been very exciting. I had a tinfoil hat on my head in 2009 when I did this, and now I feel pretty vindicated.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was super radical and out there in those early days.
Legendary.
Yeah. We've only been in this practice. I've only been in this practice. Dr. Bach started it in November 2nd of 2015. And as any new business, it was really horrible and really difficult the first year. But, ever since then, we have been kicking ass and taking names because if you do right by the patient, everything else follows. I had a
Yep.
patient come up to me today, an infusion patient, and say, you know what? You guys are my favorite office. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, you answer the phone and you work 5 days a week. I mean, it struck me how low the bar has gotten.
Yeah,
Like,
pretty low.
yeah,
Yeah, we have someone answer the phone. We don't have electronic medical records, so we are actually looking at patients when we talk to them, not typing.
mhm.
And there's just that sort of personal, old soul, kind of old school feel that patients appreciate. The other thing they notice is that everyone in my office, as in yours, has a smile on their face. And that translates, happy staff translates into better care. And there's just no ifs, ands, and buts about that.
For sure. There's no Eeyores on my staff or yours because
Oh,
the staff wants to be there. We take care of them and then they take care of the patients. So it really is a win-win. I'd gotten an email from, we're in the parking lot of a 340B hospital, SSM DePaul Hospital. And they sent me an email about some credentialing thing for one of my physician assistants. And it was like this snarky, you have one more day to get this to me. And I'm just like, okay. And when I opened up the 26-page stupid document that I had to print out and handwrite on to fill out for her, because it's like old school craziness, the first thing that struck me on their letterhead was everything we do is in the healing presence of God. Okay, what? I'm not feeling that. That is, but these 340B hospitals and institutions throw up a cross on the wall and think they're doing God's work, but they're bankrupting patients and really giving crappy service.
Well, and we got a cease and desist for Cigna, and they were saying we were trying to compete with their business. Have any insurance companies tried to come at you for like trying to go up to bat with them?
we used to battle with them, because we were filing out of network claims, and we were collecting from patients many times an all-inclusive fee that was less than their in-network deductible.
Wow.
We were filing out-of-network claims, and patients were having a better out-of-pocket experience coming to Surgery Center of Oklahoma out of network than they were going to an in-network facility. So we ruffled a lot of feathers, and yeah, they came after us. They came after us hard, all of them. And it wasn't until I entertained the possibility of the ultimate jujitsu move, just folding like a reed, and all of their punches then were just finding nothing but air. When we walked away, we just decided, you know what, you thieves and criminals can have your cesspool all to yourself. We're going to walk away. We have no carrier contracts. I'm just not in their world.
Mhm.
The only thing that I think is particularly tough for that crowd now, which I've called for over a decade now a cartel, because they are.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, the only thing really tough for them is when someone questions their pricing because they've seen mine online, or they've gone to the Free Market Medical Association Shop Health tab and they've seen that pricing online. And that's tough for a not-for-profit charging 10x what I do to claim that they're not making a profit. I suggested years ago to an administrator in a heated argument that they should take the cross off the top of their hospital and replace it with a dollar sign. It would be more honest.
Mhm.
Yeah, some of the most vicious price gougers are those who claim their faith, on on their sleeve, and it's terrible.
Yeah. Well, and the same patients that I care for in my office, if they need to have free drug, we write orders at DePaul Hospital for them to get it, because that's what they're paid to do,
Right.
administer free drug.
Right.
And they're used to with those 340Bs. I mean, they're buying infusion drug for 50 cents on the buck and charging 10x for it. I mean, they're rolling in dough over there.
Right.
But it's just it's a model that's super old, and it's just like another middleman's game.
Well, and I refer to the Oklahoma Surgery Center constantly whenever I'm talking, because people are like, how would we just do direct pay? And I'm like, look at that. Like, it's been so successful. They have all of their prices. Like, I was trying to look at our local hospitals and what they charge for random surgeries, and it wouldn't even load. The document was so large, and like the print was so small. And like I just have to go to your website and it's right there. No problem.
And I have to say, the hardest thing about creating the pricing was keeping it simple. That was the hardest thing. And my payment clearinghouse, Atlas Billing Company, I actually loan to hospitals who can't figure it out. The good news is there are some hospitals that are putting their toe in the water and want to get in this game, but they need some help because it's weird, it's different, it's unlike anything they've done before. But ultimately, as an anesthesiologist, I bill for my time. And it's not exactly right, but it's pretty close.
Mhm.
Surgeons, however you want to shave it down, they bill for their time and expertise. So I ask a surgeon before I put a tonsillectomy price on the website, how much do you want? And they have to declare their value in the marketplace. They have to do that, as here is what I do and here's how much it is. Everyone else in the world has to do that. As an anesthesiologist, I say this is essentially what I'm going to charge because I know how long this procedure will take. And there may or may not be some expertise tweak that is on that. From the facility side, it's time and materials. It's just like a general contractor. You have to figure out what is your time worth in an operating room for a given period of time and look at the cost of the supplies required to conduct that procedure. It's very much time and materials. Hospitals don't like it though, because they don't want to leave a single copper penny on the table. They want to charge after the case is done when they know all of the supplies and all the expenses and all of the markups that they think they can pull off. But their model is, how do I maximize revenue?
Mhm.
That's what this revenue cycle management industry is all about. It's about helping them maximize revenue. My model, the model I champion and the one you do too, is how do I deliver maximum value, almost obscene value,
Yeah.
so that the buyer, the discerning buyer, the with sticker shock, can tell the difference. So it's time and materials on the facility side. I'm helping. I'm glad to say I'm helping some hospitals put their toe and even their foot in the water to become comfortable with this, and I'm actually creating and implementing bundles for some full service hospitals right now. And that's a very exciting development. And in some cases, they're hospitals that tried to put me out of business back in the early days. So we've come full circle.
Mhm. Yeah, well, um, I feel like I can have that sort of love-hate relationship with people. I will be your biggest pain in the ass, but we can also, if you put your hand out, I'm going to work with you. And I've tried to do that with insurance companies, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But if you just lead with integrity and not the word salad integrity, like the real stuff, like caring for patients and not doing this one size fits all stuff, things kind of really get good for patients.
My prices are all listed. I mean, they're publicly listed, all of them. and not one carrier has ever reached out to me. So they make a lot of money on the price discount skimming game. And so honest, upfront, transparent pricing represents an opportunity foregone for them. But I have had not one carrier, Blue, United, Cigna, Aetna, Humana, not one of them has any interest in buying the $3,500 procedure at my facility. That's $35,000 at a hospital down the street.
Wow. Wow. So when you first started, you were doing a lot of Canadian stuff. So now you have direct contracts with self-funded employers, or how does that work?
Yeah, I have direct contracts with self-funded employers or their third-party administrator, all over the country. And those employers waive all of the patients out of pocket and fly them to Oklahoma City to have surgery, and pay all the travel costs for them and a companion, because the savings they achieve, even on such a minor procedure as, say, carpal tunnel release, they'll fly them here from Idaho, because that procedure is 16,000 in Idaho and it's $2,950 in my shop.
Wow.
So yeah, employers are waking up. They're angry. They realize they've been fleeced. You know, the broker, the consultant that has been leading them around by the nose, is just basically fed them this Kool-Aid, and the, you know, the intermediaries many times make most money when the self-funded health plan performs most poorly. And so their incentives are not aligned. But yeah, we work with self-funded employers. My friend Marty McCary calls them proxy buyers. And I love that phrase because it's exactly that relationship. And we work with cost sharing ministries. The Surgery Center of Oklahoma is a preferred, if not favorite, destination. The cost sharing ministries hope their members choose. Then we deal with individuals who pay us with, you know, cashier's check, cash, credit card, gold, Bitcoin.
A
And
chick-
yeah, I mean, we're here to accommodate the buyer, and it's been a pretty wild experience. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, it kind of like reminds me of in the old days when you used to get a chicken for medical care.
She's been
Like
saying she
I
wants a chicken.
literally, I would rather work with a chicken for rheumatology care than hire all these billers to do claims, to have audits, to do a remit, and then pay my staff. And it's like everybody gets 4 or 5% off here, and then I'm sitting here going, "What am I getting?" Other than a whole lot of administrative burdens.
I've never accepted a chicken for payment, but I've never been offered either. So I'm not going to say I would not. I'll tell you one of the really exciting things about our model, because we're 100% physician owned and controlled, is that we are able to provide care free. So when patients, or when a surgeon reaches out and says there's an unfortunate family here with, you know, little Junior who's got sleep apnea because of his gigantic golf ball sized tonsils, and they don't have anything. And I said, well, how much are you going to charge them? And the surgeon says, I don't think I'm going to charge them at all. Well, as an anesthesiologist, I always follow the surgeon's lead on that. So I don't charge them. Now I said, well, do you think they could afford the cost of supplies at the surgery center for a tonsillectomy? How much is that? I think about $135. Well, let me ask them, can you guys, yeah, our family can scrounge that up. Done. So we don't lose money on that. The surgeon and my anesthesia team are donating our time, but we're not even donating the supplies. I mean, they buy the supplies. And so that's a wash. But if they can't come up with $135, who cares? I mean, whatever, you know, it's $135. Nobody cares about that. So
Right.
we are actually able to be charitable on our own terms, not at gunpoint. Not the way Medicare says be charitable, not the way United says be charitable. That's a ripoff. That's extortion.
Okay.
So Yeah, it really is very old time. You said that. I mean, it is. It's very much like physicians practice back in the old days before the government screwed everything up.
Yeah, and boy, did they screw everything up. Um, so what does so you've got your generation of physicians, and do you have another younger generations coming up behind you? Tell me about that.
Yeah, we have a young group of physicians. We have some older physicians like me, who kind of know the difference and have seen both worlds. The younger physicians really like this, partly because I pay them so well. So one of the secrets to our model is to actually pay the people who are doing the work handsomely. That's not rocket science. But if you tell a surgeon of any age that you're going to pay them 3 to 5 times for a procedure what they're accustomed to receiving, you have their attention. And
Sure.
they know this is a better model where the facility, the Surgery Center of Oklahoma, is essentially a tool of our practice. It is not a profit generator to a great degree. We make money. We just don't try to hit a grand slam on every case. Well,
Right.
that gives me the ability then to assign part of the bundle of cash we receive for a procedure to those who are actually performing the service. So the surgeons are paid a fat, handsome fee. Anesthesia is paid very fairly, and the surgery center has a slim margin of profit, and that is our model. And so, whatever the age of the surgeon, if they say, well, just pay me whatever Blue Cross pays me for ear tubes. Yeah, no, I have something else in mind I think you'll be very happy with. And I have their attention. That allows me to recruit anyone I want. I can get whoever I want. It's at the surgery center.
Amazing.
Yeah, wish we had some rheumatologists that would do that. I absolutely believe in paying people more than you should. I mean, we are partnered with like a lab, for example, Path Group has a lab in my office, and as a rheumatologist office, we're doing labs on everybody. We're suppressing the immune system. Everyone's got to have a yearly quantiferum gold. It's probably not necessary, but these insurance companies are driving lab costs up, so they insist on won't prior authorize the stuff without a yearly TB test. But Path Group, it's a fine organization, but they don't know how to do things efficiently. And I said, if you're going to be in my office, you're going to do it my way. We're going to have one phlebotomist in here, and we're going to pay her really well. And they're like, oh, we need 2 phlebotomists in there. I said, it's not a 2-butt lab; it's a 1-butt lab. Okay, I don't need extra people because you guys are worried about some metrics and some conversion rate. This is what we're gonna do. Well, when it comes time for annual reviews, they try to like give these super hardworking phlebotomists 22 cents for a raise. I'm like, that's not gonna work. This is what you're gonna pay them. And then all of a sudden I have their attention because I'm like, you're gonna do this or you're not gonna be working here. And they're like, okay, I think we're gonna do that. Yeah, you are doing that.
Yeah, because you want the phlebotomist to want to be there.
Yeah.
And people appreciate skill. They appreciate a phlebotomist, for instance, who knows what they're doing. And if they have a smile on their face and they know what they're doing, I mean, how low is the bar? I mean, that beats the bar.
Right. And my phlebot is drawing 60 patients a day by herself.
That's so cool.
She's
Yeah.
the best.
She is the best.
She is the best.
And I actually was just talking to her today and I said, when is your next annual review? She goes, it's coming up in December. I said, let me know what you and I'll tell them what your number is. And that's just how it works.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. People need to be paid appropriately, because then they can choose to be here. We actually provide lunch for our staff every day.
Yeah.
We utilize pharma, but if we don't have lunch that day, the company card is used. These are hardworking people that are doing the work, and they don't need to spend their 30 minutes going to Jack in the Box. Not that I don't love Jack in the Box, I do, but it's a hardship for people to spend their 30 minutes screwing around in a drive-through line.
And it's not rocket science to be nice to people. It's not rocket science to engage in mutually beneficial exchange, not only with patients, but with your staff. And
Mhm.
again, how low is the bar? So you have no trouble recruiting staff if you're nice to them and you pay them fairly and you buy them lunch. You're this I could be saying exactly what you're saying about our situation at the surgery center.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then if you're nice to the proxy buyer, the self-funded company, the cost sharing ministry, and you're efficient and you deal with them in a fair way, and you don't just try to get all you can from them. This is not how the mainstream world works, though. As you know, their idea is get all I can get. It's there's the free market, which is characterized by mutually beneficial exchange. And then there's this other thing that's predatory and conquest that is characterized by this zero sum, like I win only if you lose.
Mhm.
And I won't do business that way. Even if I'm on the winning side, I won't do business that way because it's unstable and it's unsustainable and it's wrong. I mean, does anybody even ask that anymore? Is this wrong? Um, and and the idea that, well, I have one set of ethics and morals in my business life, and I have another set of ethics and morals in my personal life. I'm sorry. It's just, if it's wrong, it's wrong, and we shouldn't do it in business, even if we can get away with it. And that's I think why this industry is so messed up, and that's why the bar is so low, and that's why it's really not that tough of a lift to beat those out there that have embraced this bankrupting way of doing business.
For sure. Well, what we all have in common is every one of us is a patient, and every one of us has had a story of delayed or denied care from an insurance company. And they are literally just middlemen doing none of the work and denying all the care. And just, I mean, the profits at these pharmacy benefit managers are, billions of dollars quarterly that are siphoned away from direct patient care, dollars that are supposed to be going between the physician and the patient. So how did you get started with the self-funded employers? Like, did you just start calling them? I mean, how did it work?
Well, they found me when the prices went out online. About that time, the prices in the United States were at a really bad place on the slope. They were going up quickly, and Jay Kempton, who's now a close friend, he was actually preparing to advise his clients to fly their employees to India and Costa Rica for some medical procedures because the costs in the United States and even in Oklahoma were going through the roof. One of his clients, an oil man who's a good friend of mine, knew that I had posted this pricing online because we were compadres in this young president's organization, and he knew all about what I'd done. And he
Mhm.
told me, "Hey, you need to meet Keith Smith." So we became fast friends. He asked me, "Will you sell me what you are selling that for the benefit of my clients?" And I said, "Yeah, my price is the same for everyone, and it doesn't. I don't care if you're an individual or if you're 100,000 life group. It makes no difference to me. My price is my price." So true to form, Jay Kempton did not keep me a secret. He told all of his competitors how to deal with me, and I was not easy to deal with because I billed using an invoice. So we sent a one-page invoice that has the patient's name, date of birth, date of service, CPT code, and an all-inclusive price, and then we expect to be paid within 30 days. Well, he taught all of his competitors how to deal with me, told them all about me, and they all still buy from me.
Hmm.
Likewise, I taught my competitors how to send an invoice and deal with a self-funded employer the way I dealt with Jay. And so we didn't keep this a secret. This wasn't about getting rich. This was a transformation. This was the beginnings of a parallel economy, and it's just become gigantic now. I mean, the Free Market Medical Association was an outgrowth of what I just described, and it
Mhm.
was Jay's idea. Jay said, "Well, let's have a meeting. Let's form an association and see if anybody shows up." And boy, have they shown up. I mean, there are 37 state chapters now. Ron Paul and Steve Forbes have been keynote speakers. It's just become this wonderful organization. You all are, I know, proud members of. Uh,
Mhm.
so yeah, that's how this all got started with the self-funded employers. Is one of them, Jay Kempton, found me, and then he told them all the rest of them about me.
Mhm. That's amazing. So are there other surgery centers in the United States that are doing what you're doing?
Yes, to one degree or another, there are now quite a few. There's one in Moscow, Idaho, called Veritas Surgery Center. In Indianapolis, there's Wellbridge. In Wisconsin, there's Renovo Health, and
Hmm.
they're like perfect copycats of my unicorn model, where we deal with no carriers, do not accept federal money. All prices are posted online. Then there are some hybrid models out there that still deal with insurance carriers, but will also post prices. And then there are the hybrid lights, which still take federal money, still deal with the carriers, and don't post prices, but will quote them over the phone. Um, and so if you add up all these facilities that are doing this, it's quite a large number. There are not very many purist kind of unicorn maverick lunatics like me out there, but there are a few, and that number is growing.
Right, right. So you're gonna start offering infusion therapy because that's a big pain point for your self-funded employers. We're so looking forward to having your team down because, one of the things we do really well is we're sitting on ready. Okay. So if a patient calls and needs to get in, they're coming in. Okay. There's not some, 9-month wait for a rheumatology consult, the fast eat the slow and the patients need care. So I think you're going to really be pleased with your patient experience when you get into these infusions. But that's really where all the self-funded employers are really getting ripped off too.
And
Um,
that's been a theme of mine, is to reach out to the self-funded employers, the cost-sharing ministries, and say, what are your pain points right now? What services am I not offering that I potentially could? And that's really how this movement has grown. We don't do cataracts at Surgery Center of Oklahoma, but that was a pain point for those who bought from us. So I found the best ophthalmologist that there was. I found him by asking other ophthalmologists who would take your cataracts out. That's an easy way to find out who's top tier. And then I send him the referrals to his shop. He doesn't come to mine. Uh,
mhm.
and so that really is how this has grown. And infusions are a pain point.
Yeah,
And we need to be in that business. We have an anesthesiologist on site the whole time the center's open. So one of us will be there if there's a reaction. I mean, if there's anything to do, there's IV access issues. We can put central lines in them. I mean, we're uniquely, I think, positioned to help with the infusions, and I can't express my appreciation deeply enough to you all and how generous your offer is to help us get started down that path.
Well, I love a unicorn and I'm a unicorn. And I really find that those who have nothing to hide, hide nothing. we're all patients, and there's no competition in rheumatology. There's always more rheumatology patients than rheumatology offices. And you have an opportunity to care for the patients way better in your center than they do at the hospital. I mean, I've got a handful of patients that were on infusion drugs, a couple of United Health Cartel patients. They were, they mandated some biosimilars, and then they wanted us to not even pay us for the acquisition cost of this one drug called Truxima. And so when that happened, I said, forget it. I'm going to send my handful of Truxima patients that are United Healthcare over to the hospital. I'm really sorry, but they're going to have to infuse there. And so in the insurance model, instead of $40 for the administration fee, which is what it would be for a center like mine, it was $1,400 for the hospital. And it was a crap patient experience because they have to have a pharmacist come down and mix the medicine, but then they have the facility fee. And to what takes 2 hours in my facility takes 6.5 hours at the hospital. And
Yeah.
then they're used to doing oncology medicines over there. They ran the wrong protocol. They ran the oncology protocol for Truxima. So the rheumatology protocol, and the patient was sick for 2.5 weeks at home. So I share this with you because if things are bad and United or whoever won't work with me, I'll send the patient to the hospital. I only have to do that one time. And now I have the patient saying, what do I need to do to
Right.
get in your center? Well, here's
Right.
what we need to do. We need to have a little conversation with United Healthcare. I have a single case agreement, and they're paying me fairly now. And fairly is twice what they were paying me earlier. Okay. So they're making multi-billion-dollar quarterly profits off the backs of the people doing the work, and they accept the doctors who are doing the work to absorb losses. That's not how this works. But now I have a patient for life. And when this patient, she's amazing. She's actually a former practice administrator of some federally health programs. So she's a practice administrator. She knows, she's retired now, but she knows the business. And she did an interview with me and with a team of people that hopefully this is gonna come out soon, so I can share it with you. I would think it's gonna be out in the next 60 days, but her story is amazing. And it's stuff like this that's gonna move the needle and get change. I think we're just on the cusp of seeing some major disruption with Mark Cuban, with what you're doing, with patient care, and not some word salad patient care. I love all the lawsuits from employees suing the CFO of self-funded employers for mandating to the Express Scripts and all that nonsense. I feel like change is coming in my lifetime, and I wouldn't have said that 2 years ago.
Yeah, I would echo that. 2 to 3 years ago, I felt like we might be on the cusp. Now I feel like we're at a tipping point. And
Mhm.
one of the weird things that's going on, inflation is actually our friend. The more outrageous the prices of everything in the United States are, thanks to what the government and the Federal Reserve do to the currency, thanks to the outrageous prices of everything else, these high-priced healthcare venues are less tolerable than they were. And those prices are going up like crazy. So even those who were not that motivated to seek value are now seeking value. And so I think we are at a tipping point, and I do think that we will see a radical disruption, not just in our lifetime, but I think in our careers.
Well, I'm here for it. I am here for it. So what's next for you? You're gonna get bigger, you're gonna get better. It already sounds like you're better. What's next for Dr. Keith Smith?
The Surgery Center of Oklahoma and my anesthesia practice there keeps me pretty busy. The Free Market Medical Association is growing, and it's time consuming, particularly right around conference. The one of my big focuses, and probably my biggest focus right now, is my payment clearinghouse and bundle curator, Atlas Billing Company. Atlas Billing Company was formed by this dumb doctor as a payment clearinghouse. That's all. I just thought whoever buys from me is going to want to write one check.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to want to pay surgeon, anesthesia facility, radiology, pathology. They're not going to do that with a whole bunch of different credit card swipes or checks. So that entity was formed to accept a single payment and then distribute that payment to those who participated in the care episode.
Mm-hmm.
What I did not realize was how powerful it is as a cloaking device for those who want to jump into this space but continue to deal with government and the carriers. So Atlas Billing Company is creating bundles for and implementing bundles for big hospitals, other facilities that do not want to run afoul of any of their carrier contracts. And so it serves really as a cloaking device. It also is hard, as simple as it might sound, for a hospital to pay an anesthesiologist that they do not employ. It's also hard for a hospital to pay a surgeon that they do not employ.
Correct.
So Atlas is filling that gap. And what's happening is traditional price gougers are now able to accommodate for those that are willing cash payers and self-funded buyers. Now, there are some out there that are not willing because they have a monopoly in their marketplace. But there are some hospitals out there that want to be able to do this. Part of the reason they want to be able to do this is they're going to lose the business if they don't.
Mm-hmm.
So Atlas is that training wheels, that can help them do that. And I've spent a lot of time on that right now, and that I think is as disruptive as anything that's going on, and I'm really enjoying that.
And so you're saying Atlas, like ALTUS?
Yes.
ATLAS, Atlas.
ATLAS. Okay.
Like Atlas Shrugged.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the website is atlasbillingcompany.com. All the prices that I've conjured up that are inpatient prices are on that website.
Okay.
So it's very, very problematic for the price gougers, very, very much.
Well, I love that. And I love what you're doing. I did an interview and I was telling Claudia about it and June 24th, it's hopefully going to air, in the next 60 days. But June 24th, what was that, 90 days ago? Okay, we had 17,100 followers on our TikTok channel. How many followers do we have today?
Like 34,000 last I checked.
So we're like geometrically progressing on followers. So you're actually on our live right now. This interview is on our TikTok live because there's multiple ways to get this message out. And there's such an interest. People are hungry to understand what in the hell has happened to their own healthcare and their own financial situation because of it.
Well, a lot of people are my age and we've just kind of fallen into it, and health insurance has been just in case, just in case, just in case. Nobody really paid attention to the prices, and now all of us are now getting kicked off our parents' insurance plan, and we're like, what the heck? What is this?
Right. And I'm super excited about what you're doing. And, if you just stand in your truth and show your cards, people can shop. And it's just a completely foreign concept in healthcare. So I think it's amazing. I'm super excited to have your team come down and kick the tires on our infusion center.
I was telling her, I was like, do you know how cool it'll be to say that like we helped train these infusion people?
Yeah, I am so happy you are not only willing to do it, but you feel that way. So yeah, the Surgery Center of Oklahoma has got a lot to learn too. And when we first opened and the Free Market Medical Association opened and started, Jay Kempton and I were just, we were just giving all of the ideas that we had to everyone around, but we knew the day would come when we would be listening and absorbing the wisdom of all those around us. And that's exactly what this situation is. You all are going to teach us how to do this the right way, and we're honored that you're willing to do it.
We're happy to do it. I'm not the only rheumatology game in town, but I think it do it better. And people
Sure.
are not in a lockdown relationship with me. My patients can choose me, and they choose me every single day because of how we treat them.
We fight for them.
Oh my gosh, do we ever fight for them? But yeah, we've got a lot of exciting advocacy stuff coming up. Claudia and I were down in Nashville at the Coalition of State Rheumatology Organization last weekend. Before that, I was out in Minnetonka,
Advocate
Minnesota.
of the Year.
I did get Advocate of the Year in Las Vegas, but I also got to go to Minnetonka, Minnesota, which is the home of United Health Cartel and Optum RX, for a protest, and I spoke there. And do you know what those people at Optum did? They sent out the Optum thugs. I'm talking about like security guys with like badges and like vests on, and like a lot of them. And I'm like,
And
what?
turn the sprinklers on.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me? And they're like, well, you better back
Oh
up.
my
I'm like, I'm
gosh.
told I've never been arrested, and I don't plan on being arrested right now. Like, are you kidding me? This is United Healthcare. This is how they treat patient advocates. Turn the sprinklers on and get off our property.
Unbelievable.
But I think carrying the message is really important. And it's just, I'm doing this because A, it's the right thing to do. B, my children's children who are not even an idea yet need healthcare. And the only way we're going to preserve that is by stepping outside the box and doing something different. Doing what we did 2 years ago doesn't work. Certainly not what we did 20 years ago, which is the same stale crap that all of these insurance carriers and PBMs are selling. Double digit increases on premiums, and patients are being saddled with debt. It's not working.
And it's also the honor of, like, because Dr. Bach was all about patient care. You're all about patient care. So in that way, we're able to live on his legacy
Mhm.
because we're able to provide the care that he wanted for his patients. So that's also why I would like to add to your reasons why. And it's that reason too.
There's something to that. So
Very, very cool. We're same or next day for most surgical procedures.
wow.
Whenever a Canadian reaches out, they all want to know, what's the wait? How long is the waiting line? A Canadian friend of mine told me the old Canadian joke that no Canadian's truly happy unless they're waiting in line. But they always ask, what is the wait time? And we'd say, how we'll do this tomorrow if you can get here.
Amazing.
We have that same nimble approach in surgery that you offer in your center, and I think it'll be a real good puzzle fit.
For sure.
We're excited. Thank you
Yes.
for taking the time out of your day to come on our podcast.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'll send you the link and I will tag everything on the video so people can visit your website, see everything you're doing, and we'll stay in contact.
Sounds great. Thank you guys. Much appreciated.
Of course. Nice
Thank
to see you,
you.
Dr. Smith.
Have a good day.
night.
Bye bye.